She cooks nothing but chuck wagons, stew, and her name is Minerva. Ouch! She's the flower of the devoured goats.
Judas Priest. Let's just putting out a few show notes. Like, it didn't occur to me to do that before I started the show. Just, what can I say? I'm warm, and I never thought I'd hear myself say that before July around here, but welcome to Aaron Live. It's what is it? It's March 9th already, and 2025. I finally got that ingrained in my mind, so that when I sign my artwork, it'll say 25 on it almost automatically now. I've only written like 1 or 2 checks, so I'm still working on that part of it. But man, time flies, and the older you get, the faster it goes by. But one thing is constant, my friends. And that's Sunday afternoon at 3:30. I'm going to be right here, unless I'm not. So what more guarantees can I give you? Welcome, everybody. A lot of drama floating around again, isn't there? Well, as me, I don't have much to say about it because I'm not, not in the middle of it. I'm only 1,000-mile view, as I generally am on this kind of stuff. Because I didn't get into, I was never even a big fan of politicking when I was in the mainstream, although it was necessary to stay employed, but I'm certainly not a big fan of capping on people and going after people and vocally, it's not who I am. It's not what I do. And so I try to stay out of this stuff, and I have opinions like everybody else does, but I also know that I have about a quarter of the information, generally speaking, when stuff comes up. And so I tend not to comment on it because I don't want to look like a fool and say something because I have a perception of what's going on when I really don't have a perception of what's actually going on. So there you go. How's that for a comment without commenting? That's what I'm great at. I'm Switzerland, I'm neutral, right? So there you go. Let's see who's here. Corum is here, and he rightfully states that this one has it all. It may not have more content than any other show we've done, but it certainly has good content. I mean, we were talking about Jack Kirby and Chuck Jones on the same show. Woo! After I did it, I was like, I probably should have split these two up, but it just makes for, super cool mega viewing. Creative Phase here. Halder 6480. Pass Master Dan is joining us. Stealth X5. Pantheon. Creative Face says, Aaron, you lost a few points for saying banger. I hate the new wave lingo. It'll be an awesome show or a cool show or even epic. That is my beef. Well, I understand that, but you have to understand when I use vernacular like that, I'm trolling or I'm being sarcastic because my daughter uses that kind of language and I just don't understand it at all. So then I use it on her, which just annoys the crap out of her. Right. So that's why I did it for laughs, not for anger, for laughs. Randy Hall's here all the way from Canada. Aaron needs to update his clips to include Daffy saying you're despicable. I should, that's a good one. That is a good one. The only one, the funny thing is the only one I have, and I used this when Shelly was on a lot. Oh, I got rid of it. No, I don't. Here it is. This is the only one I have.
I'm rich. I'm wealthy. Yahoo! I'm comfortably well off.
Yeah, and that's absolutely none of that is true. But I used to use that on Shelly all the time, when she would say certain things, that clip, and but yeah, a despicable one would be good. I mean, that's good suggestion. I'm going to do that, Randy. Pity Maw is here. Hey, all, Chuck Jones and Kirby covers. I'm walking the dogs now before the fun begins. I almost walked my dog, and I thought, no, I think I'll have enough daylight now to walk the dog after the show. So we'll see. And let's see. Andy Dalliff is here. Andy Dalliff says, best Chuck Jones tune was Duck Amuck. The animator just messing with Davy. Okay, all Chuck Jones is good. He's like my favorite Warner Brothers director. It's not even close. Because I liked the way he does I liked his take on the characters in terms of the actual physical design of them and the look of them. I thought they were better than, Freeling and everybody else. But I will say I do like McKimson too, because he has some funny cartoons. Good old Bob McKimson. But even he's not close to Chuck Jones status. But my favorite, there's Deduce You Say. There's Drip Along Daffy. There's Alibaba Bunny. Hassan Chop. There's there's some good, like What's Opera Doc and The Rabbit of Seville. There's so many good ones. I'm trying to think of if I had to peg a favorite. Might be What's Opera Doc, or pardon me, might be Rabbit of Seville, because I can actually sing the entire cartoon. So that must mean something if I've memorized it. Anyway, moving right along here. Chris, late to his own show. Well, I wasn't that late. Let's see. 2-hour Assassin. Is that what it is? 2H Assassin? 2-hour Assassin. I'm going to assume that's what it is. Andino Palazzo. Chuck Jones is still alive. No, he isn't. He died in 2008. It was like 89 when he passed away. Oh, I see. He's insinuating that perhaps I was having Chuck Jones on the show, which of course is not the case. I'm actually will be looking at his artwork. Sequential Treasures is here. Nordic Nerd. Marcus Killigrew, purveyor of all things pop culture knowledge, is joining us. Paul Taylor, all the way from Canada. He is, of course, our resident biologist. Moromi is here. Lord Hinson, comic skater. Hail Aaron. How is it? How it was, how it is, how it will be. We're always waiting to find out, aren't we? Stealth X5 for his usual $2 and a hello. Thank you, Stealth. Appreciate that very much. If all of you gave me $2, just kidding. Bibliobob, oh my gosh, where have you been? Liking the hat, Aaron, thank you. It's a Wraith of God special. We still have some for sale. You can go to my website, you'll find them there. Old Guy Annoyed, that's me. And Mark Pengrin is here. How about that? Hey, Mark. Alfred, is in Alfred or Alfred or Alfred? Just things to think about. Yeah, there it is. The Aaron soap opera is called The Old and the Dramaless. I would be a very boring soap opera because there's just no drama. Paul says, if you're Switzerland, will send me delicious milk chocolate. I will tell you this. I haven't been to Switzerland, but I have been to Germany and I have been to France. And it is my professional opinion as a chocoholic, German chocolate is better than French chocolate. The German chocolate is next level stuff. Just saying. I'm just saying, and we'll just leave it there. The Geek Easy is here. Custodian Ken is here to clean up. Hulk Smash, what kind of trouble is Aaron causing tonight? Not me. Not me. HR is here. Sequential Artist. Greetings, Aaron, in chat. Sadly, must work today, so I'll catch the whole program on replay. Excited to see the Justice League art. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm going to show some of that, aren't I? Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, I don't want to not keep promises. Gen Catholic is here. Gen X Catholic is here. Biblio Bob says Tex Avery. I like Tex Avery, but Chuck Jones is my guy. John Porton. I actually went and saw Chuck Jones speak, but I'll talk about that later, maybe. Stephen Ings. Duck-a-Muck is the one where Bugs is revealed at the end harassing Daffy. That is correct. And I wrote a Batman story that had a similar ending. And I was going to use it in Legends of the Dark Knight. And I pitched it to Hank Canals. And he was like, yeah, okay, it's a cute little story. But he said, it doesn't really fit into Legends of the Dark Knight. We want something, more powerful. So I scrapped it. And then I came up with I, Batman, which was the Frankenstein Batman story that I did. But boy, I would love to do that Duck-a-Muck homage. Maybe I'll do it like John Byrne, right? Just go ahead and do the story, put it out there in public domain, and sell the original pages, to pay for the actual story. Maybe that's what I'll do. Victor, how about that? He says, you're my favorite to watch, Aaron. Well, thank you, Victor. Invite Irene Draws for Graybird. She's been on twice. It's not like we haven't had her on, and we will have her on again. But yeah, we've had her on twice. I think Andy Smith is coming on the show. Now, this week, I invited him like 2 weeks ago, and he said, oh, I can't come. But then we ended up not doing the show because I was sick. And then last week I invited him on because we were doing something I thought would be perfect for him. We were doing the bird characters, and I know he loves Dynamite and Blue Falcon. I said, this is your chance to draw Blue Falcon. And he wouldn't come on. He said, but you know what, Aaron? I'm available on the 11th. And I'm like, oh, excuse me. So now you're booking my show for me? So anyway, I think Andy's going to be here on Wednesday, which is the 11th. 12th. Whatever. And no, Monday's the 10th. Yeah, it would be the 12th. Math. Yeah, so I also tried to invite Andy on when we did, I think we did Gil Kane characters. No. Yes. No, we did Starlin. And I did Captain Marvel because I thought Andy would want to do Captain Marvel. So I tried to invite people on the show when we're doing stuff that might be of interest to them. And he blew me off on that too. So he's finally showing up. And I don't even know what the poll is going to be. But check out my Twitter on Monday and you will find out what the poll is. I'm not choosing it this week. Someone else is. So when I get the picks, I'll put it up there and then we'll see what we'll see. But anyway, I think Andy's going to be joining us. That was a whole lot of oxygen and said very little. Merilith 2005 is here. Headless Bourgeoisie is joining us. Stephen Ink says Chowhound has the greatest ending. Chowhound. Which one is that? I know I've seen it, but I can't remember which cartoon it was. It was one of those Chuck Jones Dogs cartoons, I assume. Let's see. Like in church, pass the donation plate. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Just another day not being anywhere near as good as Aaron at drawing. Oh, Mike. That's what practice is for. You know the amazing thing about being an artist, you can always look up and say, oh, I wish I was as good as that guy. And I do it frequently because there's a ton of guys that are way better than me. Well, let's see. Sean Allen for £2, which is more than $2. Thank you very much. $2 and 0 Fs. As you know, it rhymes with bucks. Henry Jeremick is here. Paul Taylor for 10. Paul says, I made a long multi-paragraph post and had it all ready to submit to Ethan's channel and then thought, nah, I'm staying out of it. It's just too bad is all I'm going to say about this. It's always too bad because as Kirk told Commodore Decker as he was flying the shuttlecraft into the mouth of the Doomsday Machine, Matt, we're stronger with you than without you. Cliche, but it is true. Yeah, let's see here. Am I, Randy? Am I? I might be. I might be. I thought it was easy to get along with. Doggone it, Steven. I'm trying to remember which one that is. Chowhound? I'm going to write that down because I'm going to look it up because once I see it, I'll remember it because I have seen them all. There's not one that has snuck by me that I am not aware of, but I just Chowhound. Okay, I'm going to look it up. There's Michael Bancroft, all the way from freaking Australia. I don't know if you saw this or not, Michael, but someone posted, I don't know if it was on Twitter. It might have just been one of those really short clips on YouTube. They said in Australia, this is what you see when you look out your peephole. And this big hairy spider walked across some guy's, the peephole in your door. You can look out, whatever you call that thing. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could live there. I don't know if I could do it. Look at Meredith. Look at that. Aaron's talent shines every day that ends in Y. Thank you. That's beautiful, man. That's very nice. Thank you. Okay. Did I start an argument in the chat? I don't know. Remember to sign it. That's what John said. John says this because I once drew a picture for John. I feel like it should rhyme like Dr. Seuss. No, I did a drawing of the creature from the Black Lagoon, and I forgot to sign it. I put it in the mail, sent it to him, and it ended up being like 3 or 4 years later where John and I finally hooked up at San Diego, and he had the picture, and I was able to sign it. I think it's the only time I've ever done that, where I ship somebody a drawing without signing it, because it's all about me. And if I don't sign it, well, then how can I get the credit that I so richly deserve? Michael Bancroft says, I miss my big hairy spider. I haven't seen him in weeks. You had like this giant one on your wall, like a huntsman spider. Those things are like freaking huge, but they're not poisonous, but they're just, I mean, you pick it up and throw it outside? I mean, ugh. I don't really like to think of myself as a wimp, but spiders creep me out, man. Just that multi-legged thing, and they move so fast, and it just, okay. There we go. Okay, around here we have like little tiny spiders, and everybody freaks out. Oh my gosh, kill that thing! And I'm like, and even when I get close to like swatting it, I'm kind of like, eh. So anyway, Headless Bourgeoisie says, of course, he named it Tina. We don't need to get into that. Not here, not now. There is a place for that kind of conversation, and it's Wednesdays on a show called Graybeards. You should check it out. 2:00 Pacific time every Wednesday, unless I'm sick or gone or something. Okay. Where are we at? We've made it successfully through the chat. I feel pretty good about that. Let's do this. Yeah, like and subscribe. I was listening to Matt Walsh, who I I find extremely funny. And he was ripping on some liberal podcaster. He said, I don't want to give her any clout or anything. He goes, but she's constantly ripping on me. And she said something that I felt needed a response. So he responded to her anything. But he was like making fun of her, saying, you know, she's a small time. She's been doing this for 5 years or whatever. She's got 16,000 subs. He goes, which is nothing. I mean, she's a nobody, basically, is what he's saying. And I went and looked at my channel and I said, I've got 4K subs. So what does that make me? So you guys help me out, so other people that are like YouTubing won't make fun of me for my small sub list. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, hit that like and subscribe if you haven't done it. It helps the channel grow, possibly. So there you go. Fanta is a pop, a soda. Do they still make that? They used to have like orange and like strawberry and like grape and all these different flavors. And I was never a Coke guy. And I was a little bit of a root beer guy, you know, here and there. And for as much as I hate vanilla because it's an anti-flavor, I do like vanilla soda or cream soda, right? So I would drink that occasionally, but I always went for the colored drinks. Like, ooh, strawberry, that's like Nesbitt's. You know, they used to have that. So we had like a little store on our street. It was literally 2 blocks down, you know, on our street, this little store. And they would have candy and soda, and they have the old, you know, the big old Pepsi coolers, you know, the ones you see on, you know, Pawn Stars where they buy a beat up one and go get it refurbished. And yeah, those, right. And they would have like the bottles, glass bottles, and they had the different sodas in there, right. And I would always, unless on the rare occasion I'd get a root beer, I would go for like strawberry soda or grape soda or orange soda. Grape was actually my favorite, I think. I don't even remember the reason I brought this up. Oh, Fanta. Yeah. So there you go. And I know for a fact that Past Master Dan is older than I am. So look at, there's Ethan Van Skyver tuning in. You're the best guy here and we love you. Ethan, I love you too. I can't say enough that Ethan has done more for me than I could have ever asked. And I will always be grateful for that. Just don't start streaming until I'm done with my show. That's all I ask. Geek Avenger for 5. He says, it's not the size of the channel. It's how you use it. You know, I know that's not true. Please hit the like and subscribe, folks. Thank you, Geek Avenger, for the 5. Appreciate it very much. There it is. See, he'll wait. Thank you, Ethan. That's all I ask, man. I'll be done at 5:30 my time. That's 8:30 your time. Gives you plenty of time to have dinner, watch a little TV, and then hit the airwaves. And there we go. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay, let's take a moment here and we've been looking at Frazetta's probably not widely known Battlestar Galactica work. I have a little bit of a story to tell about this after we show up, but let's take a look at this week's Frazetta. This week's Frazetta of the day. Is that, I think that's the proper way to determine it. So here, yeah, the proper terminology. Thank you, folks. Here we go. Okay, I apologize for the crappy copy of that TV Guide ad, but that's all I could find. But anyway, so here's the thing. Frazetta was originally approached by George Lucas to do preliminary design work for Star Wars. Frazetta made his usual demands, which were, I get to keep the original artwork, and what was the other one? Something else. But the main thing was he wanted to keep his, he wanted no interference, just do his own thing. You know, you give me the script or whatever, and then I'm going to interpret it the way I want to, and then I'm keeping the original. And George went, no. So what happened was Frazetta then got offered the same gig with Battlestar Galactica, right? So he was given scripts or early drafts, you know, before they even started shooting, when they're still in production of all this. And he came up with 5 illustrations, 5 paintings, which we've been looking at week by week, and putting his own spin on these things, right? And so the one we just looked at apparently did not turn out that way in the show. It was a Frazetta's interpretation of it was much more interesting and dramatic than what the episode turned out to be. But a lot of these ended up being book covers at some point when Battlestar Galactica got novelized. But their original use was as TV guide ads. And because the audience was so huge for TV Guide every week, it was like over 7 million. The readership was 7 to 10 million or something ridiculous like that. That they say that out of all the formats, the platforms that Frazetta was on, this was his greatest exposure, was those TV Guide ads that he ever had for any single thing he ever did, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. So these were his production designs based around his concept of what he thought Battlestar Galactica would be or should be. And they weren't altered. That was part of the deal. And they just used the artwork as it was. So you get this great Frazetta painting in the TV Guide ad, and then you'd watch the episode and go, this isn't as cool as the painting. So, but there you go. So that's the story behind those Frazetta things. Leg Kick for 5. Thank you, Leg Kick. He says, I got the posters. Hope you're feeling better, and best to Shelley. The amazing thing is I still have a bit of a cough and a bit of a runny nose. It's ridiculous. It's been 2 weeks. I mean, what is going on here? But anyway, yeah, Leg Kick. Did I say Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is almost always here? He ordered something from the garage sale, a couple posters or something of that nature. My print deal, my poster and print deal is what it was. A Kit Carter poster and print deal. So he scored that, and that's what he's talking about. Everybody that bought stuff in the garage sale, by the way, that stuff has been shipped out since the original artwork went out on Monday. So everybody at this point should have received their stuff. Let's see here. This is so true. TV Guide was huge. Then the internet came along and everyone forgot how to read on paper. Or they just, it became easier to let people like me come on and tell you instead of reading it. Here we go into Battlestar Galactica now. I never understood the whole Cassiopeia character. What were they thinking? Hey, let's make a whore a medical tech. Well, I've got to admit, it's been a long time since I watched any Battlestar Galactica. I mean, I do know the Cassiopeia, I do the name, but I don't remember her role on the ship. I remember watching it as a kid going, oh, this is great. It's like Star Wars on TV. And it really wasn't. But I guess it was the closest thing you could get. The special effects were good for, Geek Avenger for 5. He says, you might have the weak arse form of COVID that is going around. Maybe. Hard to say. I don't think so, though, because COVID usually comes with other side effects, because I've had it before. But like you said, if it's weaker, maybe it wouldn't affect, would do, trigger the same things. I don't know. She and Athena fought over Starbuck. That's right. There was the 2 chicks that were after Starbuck. That's right. Okay. Excellent. Hey, there's Waylon Todd. That sounds like a country star, doesn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Waylon Todd. So anyway, there you go. And Paul's got all the answers. Says she broke her arm and it was healed. She became fascinated with medical technology and became a med tech. There you go. It makes sense to me. Creative Faye, Pimping It for Gary, says, I found out Gary has boxes of Son of Samson books, so you can get the whole series for a decent price. Okay. There you go. Athena dated Dawn Henley. I don't even remember. I mean, if I saw her, I would know, but I can't remember what actress it was. I'd have to go look it up. Hey, there's Henry Thrun. Henry Thrun. Thanks for joining us, Henry. Henry has a wrench because he begged me to give him one. So I gave him one a while ago. And I don't know. Is he using it secretly? Are you blocking people, Henry? We use it wisely. Be responsible. Okay. So let's take a look at our sponsor for today, which is, of course, our sponsor every week until Taco Bell caves in and sponsors the show. But yeah, it's Wraith of God, Fear Hollow 3. We finally eked over 76K. Thank you guys all very much for that. This is a 64-page graphic novel. I did recently go in and finish rewrites on the ending, which I'm really, really happy with. And the beginning sucks, though. No, I'm kidding. I think you guys will really dig this. So please consider backing if you haven't done it already. I know the dollar is tight with the economy being what it is, and you'd probably be better off buying eggs than this book. But if you can do both, please consider doing so. You got 4 cover options. You got this one. You got that one. You got the other one. And then finally, the one I had nothing to do with, which is why it's the best one, is the Chris Stevens painted cover. We got a little bit of the interiors here. I don't want to give away too much. Of course, Jason Wright's doing a wonderful job coloring the book. I almost posted a couple more pages, but I thought, no, I don't give it away. So every once in a while I'll throw one up there and, on this show or another show for a quick look and then let it disappear into the ether of my flat files. There's a possibility that if we can get to 100K on this, let me put it this way. There's a possibility we can get to 100K. If we do, David Williams will finish up this origin story for Impyrus. It was one of my Loprestiverse characters that sort of ties into the whole universe. And so I really want to see it. But I got to have the money to pay David. And that means I got to have you guys backing it to do it. So anyway, we'll see if that happens. You can also enhance your order with Wraith of God Nouveau print. It's come signed and numbered by me, limited to 500. It's a beautiful piece of everybody's favorite Esther. And with the Wraith in there, of course. Wraith of God Roughs is a 48-page booklet-sized book of roughs that layouts and roughs that went into making the graphic novel. So you don't get every page, but every rough I do is, some of them are stick figures. You want to look at it anyway. But a lot of them are much more detailed and much more interesting to look at. Those are the ones that'll be in this book. Of course, it comes signed and numbered, so I'm only going to print up as many as I need to fill orders, and then a few extras in case something gets damaged. So getting these roughs books is really difficult after the fact. So I would encourage you, if you want it, to add it to your order on the campaign. You also can get a nightclub shot glass. Nightclub, of course, is my... Is it creepy the right? It's not creepy isn't the right word, but they're kind of like they're not really monsters, but they're a super team that operates by night and in a very creepy Gotham-like city. But anyway, we have a series of 6 shot glasses. This is the 4th in the series. Of course, the Wraith of God shot glass, the Garbage Man shot glass, and the Kit Carter shot glass are all out there floating around. In fact, I think I probably still have a few of them left. If you go to my website, you'll find a store there with all this stuff for sale. Not this, of course, because you have to get the shot glass through this campaign, but the other shot glasses you may have missed, you can get. These poker chips, there's a set of 3. These are the hefty ones, the clay ones, the ones you'd go take to Vegas with you. You can get a set of 3 here for $15, kind of a commemorative little thing. And if you missed out on previous Wraith of God issues, 1 and 2 specifically, since this is 3, you can order them right here on the campaign. If you don't want to wait, you can go to my website and you can order them there. They're a little bit more expensive on my website than they are in the campaign, but the flip side is you get them right away. I literally ship the next day unless, you order on Friday and, I don't get it out till Monday, that type of thing. But, if you ordered tonight, it'd go out tomorrow, that kind of thing. So you will find a link in the description of this video that'll take you to this campaign where you can check out all this wonderful stuff and hopefully back it. And then if you're sitting there going, you know what, Aaron, I got to get the back issues first, man. I got to figure out if I really like this. Well, you can go to my website. You'll find a link there also in the description of this video. Take you right there, right to the store where you can order these books. And you can also order original art, which I posted a ton of original art over the last couple of days. I'm going to continue to do so. And so you'll find all sorts of things. You can find Kit Carter. If you missed Kit Carter, you can go to my website and you can get Kit Carter. It's just that simple. Now, I'm not saying I don't love them both. I'm just saying Marianne, though. Go on, Marianne. Anyway, you guys, please consider backing. And let's see if we can get this thing to 100 so we can get David's story in this volume as well. All righty. There you go. That is your commercial interruption for the day. So let's take a look here. Do I go right into the flat files? I think I will. Since we're talking about my website, let's jump in to the flat files and see what's there. Now, this is kind of like a big announcement today because I've been talking about this for a couple of weeks. The missing Green Lantern piece that I owed Andy Smith. So the story is I did this Green Lantern piece on Graybeards, and Andy contacts me and he goes, "Hey, has anybody bought that or anything?" I said, "Nah." I said, "Yeah, I don't really like it that much. I don't think I'm put up for sale." He goes, "Well, send it to me. I want it." And I went, "Okay, I'll send it to you." And then I lost it. And then it was like, well, did I accidentally ship it to somebody? Does somebody else have it? Did I sell it? Did I forget that my dear friend Andy, who keeps not coming on Graybeards, did I sell it out from underneath him? Could I have been so callous? And I thought, maybe I could have been. What wouldn't I do for a buck is really the question, right? And I looked through my flat files. I looked everywhere. I could not find it. Okay, so then lo and behold, somebody contacts me, and we'll get to the Justice League pages in a minute, but contacts me because I'm putting up pages on my website now for sale. And he sees some of the Justice League International stuff, or actually, pardon me, some of the regular Justice League stuff I did. And he starts asking me about Justice League International. He said, "Do you have these 2 pages?" And I went, "Well, I'll have to go check." I didn't think I did, but I thought, okay, I'll go check. So I go over to my flat file, open it up, take out all the Justice League stuff, Justice League International stuff, the new 52 stuff, and I start flipping through it to find these pages. And lo and behold, this is stuck in there in between some rando Justice League International pages. How in the world did it happen? I don't know, but I found it. Now all I have to do is ship it, which that's a whole nother, thing. But there it is, the missing Green Lantern piece that I did on Graybeards. And for some stupid reason, I'm giving it to Andy for free. But there it is. Why was it stuck in the Justice League International pages? Why? I have no answers, but I do know that I have found it. And so now I can't use any excuse to Andy and say, "I don't know where it is. I'd send it to you, but I don't know where it is." I do know where it is. And now all I have to do is send it to him. So I have no excuses. I think we can all breathe a heavy sigh of relief. Great FA, the gremlins are messing with you. They get me all the time. It must be because why would I have put that? How did it get? Why would I? I don't know. All right. So you say, Aaron, that's a great story, but can you actually do something entertaining? No, but what I can do is show you what I do when I got nothing else to do. And let me rephrase it. There's never a time where I don't have something else to do. But let's say I work all day on Wraith of God. I finished a page. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I finished this page. I feel pretty good about myself. What am I going to do now? Am I going to watch TV? Probably not. But I do dumb things like this. And this, of course, is from Deduce You Say, where Daffy Duck is Dorlock Holmes. And this is the Shropshire, Slasher, something like that. And, so I do stuff like that to entertain myself. You know why? Because it's fun. Drawing should be fun. It shouldn't always be work. It should be fun and entertainment. And you should also be willing to sell your fun entertainment. And I'm always willing to sell. So anything you see on the show, except for the Green Lantern, is, of course, for sale. Just contact me and, I'll tell you what the damage is. Okay. So now let's get to the... Nasty Canasta is on my radar. I do want to do a Drip Along Daffy piece too. Again, those are, I didn't mean to put that up there. I'm a big fan of Chuck Jones, and I go get Chuck Jones character sheets. They're on the internet, and I use those to draw my characters so that they look like Chuck Jones would have done them. It's true. I'm selling love. That makes me a prostitute, though, doesn't it? I don't know. I'll have to get back to it. Sequential says it's Shropshire Slasher. Not slop, but Shropshire Slasher. Okay. So I said I was posting stuff on my website. So like a ton of my best Graybeard studio sketches are up there now. And 16 of them, I think. And then some ones I just did on my own, like this Daffy Duck piece. Wasn't associated with anything other than just my desire to draw it. But also, Leg Kick says, Art Harlot Low Presti. That's me. I'm a harlot. So anyway, here we go. So I posted a bunch of Justice League pages. Now this was the StreamYard has like reset their things again. I got weird things over on the left-hand side of my my screen that say new scenes, and they have demo scene 1, media presentation. I don't even know what that means, and it's screwing with our presentation. So yeah, I know, StreamYard. So can you guys see this? Just someone say, yes, I can see it. This Justice League Wonder Woman page I'm just showing. Can you guys see it? Anyone? Bueller? Yes. Okay. Paul Taylor. Thank you. Yes. Okay. So this is the last job that I did for DC of, yeah, pretty much was. I did 3 issues of Justice League, and 1 annual. And I literally, in all 4 of these issues, drew everybody. The Flash, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, it was good times. And to be honest with you, I think it turned out really, really well. And this is like, most of the really good pages are gone, but I still think this is a really good page. Now, there's nothing really happening on it except Wonder Woman talking to some alien kids. But look at the background work in here. And this, of course, inked by Matt Ryan, who did a terrific job as well. But these are the things I just recently posted. This is probably the best page I posted on there so far. It's one of those ones I keep thinking, maybe I should keep this. But it's a great shot of Superman. This is where I first started to figure out how to draw Superman. Well, you got Green Lantern down here in the foreground after a big explosion. Batman and Superman. Of course, Wonder Woman flies in and walks off. You got the flashback here. Paul Taylor, nice. Too bad there's no color. Yeah, you know, Paul, if you buy the comic, it's colored. Gee, many Christmas. Paul is black and white adverse. But there's a lot of these kind of pages in here where it was like even the boring pages are kind of fun because, you know, like this is Batman and Wonder Woman talking. But there's a lot of, I mean, there's several drawings of Batman. There's several drawings of Wonder Woman. You know, I got to do all this tech crap in the background, but this alien tech because they're on another planet. But I mean, it's like this is like considered one of the bad pages in this issue, and it's nothing but Batman and Wonder Woman. So Paul Taylor says, I know you love black and white, Aaron, but I'm not a dog, so I prefer color. Brother. If you hadn't given me $10 Canadian, I'd cannonball you right now. So we're going to look at this stuff anyway, even if you don't like it, Paul. Not a great page, but a good Superman panel right there makes it, you know, something of interest. Now, this is from the Justice League Annual, where they're sort of trapped in the Justice League by some robots and weird things. Now, see, you got Batman and Wonder Woman, Flash, and yeah, they're standing around talking. Now, Batman, I kind of like this panel where Batman and Wonder. Actually, I like this first panel a lot. And then you've got Batman and Wonder Woman heading into this secret hallway. He uses his credit card to jimmy it open. But look, Michael Bancroft will appreciate this. Look at these little nanotech bugs crawling in there to get him. Yeah, so I mean, if you're looking for pages that, you know, have all the characters on them, this might be something you're looking for. Say they're fighting a big robot. You know, all my robots look like they came from Hanna-Barbera in 1966. I admit it. I freely admit it. More great inking by Matt Ryan, of course. Yeah, so I kind of wanted to share these mainly because, like I said, it's my last big job. Oh, here's page 1 from issue 50, I think. And we got Wonder Woman in some space gear that I designed just for her, a space helmet. And then, of course, Superman and Green Lantern are out there in space. And the Flash is, I think he's being maintained in some sort of Green Lantern little ball that protects him. I was supposed to design some sort of ships that were completely alien looking. So I came up with these sort of bulbous little disc type things. Woo! Excuse me. Well, sometimes Jon Stewart has hair. Sometimes he doesn't have hair. It depends if he shaves his head or not. So there you go. Hey, Paul, I don't even know what you're talking about. Curious Potatoes, like Gal Gadot is sexy. Yeah, she's pretty good looking. I was at a comic shop yesterday. My son and I went to Vancouver, Washington. They had a toy show, and we went in that and walked around. It was actually pretty good for a one-day show. It was really big. And you remember those like Kool-Aid knockoff things like Goofy Grape and Crazy Cucumber? Oh, it wasn't Crazy Cucumber, but I mean, like grape, strawberry. Also, I remember the name is Goofy Grape, you know, Looney Lemon, I guess. I don't know. But they had like cups of those, like plastic cups with their faces on them. They had like pillows, like squishy pillows. I'm like, I didn't know they made these because I would have bought those when I was a kid. I loved that stuff. They were much more entertaining than Kool-Aid. But anyway, so we went to the toy show. Then we stopped at I Like Comics in Vancouver, which is the best comic shop. Okay, Chris, this is your free advertisement. It's the best comic shop in the Northwest by far. The stuff he has in his glass case, he had like tons of EC comics. He had like Golden Age stuff, Silver Age stuff, brand new. You know, if you're into the the limited edition chrome cover, all the new stuff they're doing, he has all that stuff. So he has all the modern stuff all the way back to the Golden Age. It's a great shop. And he also had a life-size figure of Gal Gadot. See, I was coming full circle around to get there, of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman in his shop. And I was like, number one, it's like, if you bought that, how expensive would that? I can't even imagine how expensive something like that would be. But it looked, actually, the sculpt was really good. It looked like her. So, let's see. Henry Thrun coming in strong says Goofy Grape, Rootin' Tootin' Raspberry, Freckle Face Strawberry, Loudmouth Lime, Injun Orange, and was it Chinese Cherry? Really? Oh my gosh, that is funny. That is funny. Biblia Bob says I need more stuff. You know, I didn't buy anything. Because as you can see, just looking behind me, you can see all the stuff I have. Just on that shelf is supposed to be clear so I can work on it, and it's not. And then I got shelves over here and shelves over there. And so they had one of those MODOK toys that you assemble that Marvel put out. Like you'd buy like an X-Men character that have like MODOK's leg in there, and you have to buy all these different characters to assemble MODOK, right? They had one of those, and I was so close. Let's see if I can find it. There he is. This is the one right here. Okay, hang on. Hang on. Now, I don't know what they were asking for because I was like fighting the temptation. Let me share it with you. There it is. That one. So they had that MODOK figure sitting there. Oh, but I couldn't do it because I literally have no place to put it. So in order for me to get that, I would have to get rid of some of this other stuff, which I may do. I may do. It's like, isn't that what you do? You buy original art and then you combine it and get a bigger piece. And then you buy comics, at least theoretically, and then like, okay, I amassed this much volume and this much money in these comics. I'm now going to trade these for that one that I've always wanted that I couldn't afford. But if I trade in all these, I can, you trade up, right? So what I need to do is get rid of about 5 or 6 pieces in here and then trade it in for the one MODOK. So I told my son, I said, you know what? Next year, because that's going to be there, right? And someone will have one of those next year. And, it's not like they really, I mean, some toys go up in value, like the Kenner Star Wars stuff. But for the majority of this stuff, kind of, it hits a certain value and it just stays there. So if I could get it for, I don't even ask what he was asking, but let's say he was asking $30. I said, I'll give you 20. If he takes 20, I mean, I bet I can get the same deal next year. And by then, maybe I'll have some room to actually, get it. So. Marcus Kilgrew says, you buy comics, you read them, and then you sell them. That's always been my plan, and I suck at the selling part. I did sell my entire Spider-Man collection, though, to make a truck payment or pay off my truck. So I can do it. It's just, it's not easy. The attachment is strong. And he's right. Paul's right. The newer stuff was produced in much greater quantities. So that stuff's always around. And there's no real value in toy collecting unless you're getting, limited runs and smaller, figures that'll be popular. Like I think I got a Dragon Man, and that was end up being worth about $350, which I then sold, and Aaron Sparrow gave it to me, and I told him I sold it, and he went, what? And I went, but I took the money and put it towards a Golden Age Captain America comic, and then he was like, all right, that's cool. So I didn't just sell it and like put the money in my pocket and go have an expensive dinner. I traded up with it. Well, it was a down payment or the pay off the truck. You know, it's like, I can't remember how much most of my Spider-Man collection I bought when I was a kid. So I was so far ahead money-wise on it. They made a killing on it when I sold it. And one of the reasons I got frustrated and sold is because I couldn't get Spider-Man #1 and I couldn't get Amazing 15. They were just too far out of my price range and would always be. So I was like, well, this is done then. You know, I can't complete this collection. And so I said, well, then screw it. And so I got rid of them. And it's the only collection I've ever had or ever run that I was able to I got every single issue I think I had from number 2 up to 330 something until I just got bored with it and quit. Yeah, so I got rid of those, and I did really, really well on it, you know, based on what I had put into it. So, but I also used some of that money. I bought Captain Marvel Jr. #4, which is a classic cover, Mac Ray Boy. So that was one of the few things that I kind of threw. The rest of it went to practical payments and so forth. There you go. We have a Batman comic worth $3,000, but are you willing to part for it for $3,000? That's the thing. I mean, when you say $1,000 or $2,000, it's kind of like, I mean, yeah, okay, that maybe solves a short-term problem, but it's not like you can live off it for a year. So then you kind of say, well, is it really worth, you know, I'll lose my favorite comic for $2,000 or whatever. Yeah, I made a profit, but unless you're not that attached to it, then you're just like, you know, you flip them for money. That's what people do. I just happen to suck at that part of it because I get attached to them. I mean, I've literally bought comics for the sake of, I think this is going to be worth something in 5 years or 10 years, and then I'll sell it and get something else. And then I have it for 5 or 10 years, and I'm like, I don't want to get rid of this. So, I'm a baby, can I tell you? Well, there is that's true. I got rid of all my comics because I had so many. I got rid of everything that was post 1980. Sold it all, and it was pretty much worthless, as you can imagine. And then so now I've only got like 1,500 comics, but they're all pre-1980, and they're all high grade, and they're all, you know, for the most part, desirable books. I do have some Captain America runs in there and stuff that no one would care about, you know, issues that no one would care about, but I care. So, okay. Let's see where we're at. I think it's time now. Speaking of comic books, let's take a look at what Jack Kirby may have to offer us today. All I have to do is find that special little intro that I made specifically for Jack today. Here we go. So I asked myself, I said, self, when you do this and you produce or you do these lists of, you know, great comic book cover artists and what did they do and what are some of their best works and all that kind of stuff. So you say you start in the golden age and sort of work your way through, right? And I'm like, well, is there some golden age guys I'm forgetting? Well, you know, I didn't do CC Beck, but CC Beck only did really Captain Marvel covers, right? And there are some good ones, but it's like, to me, that's kind of boring. It's kind of like, I don't want to show you guys his 12 best Captain Marvel covers. I want a little variety. So I thought, and I didn't really look at CC Beck as a cover artist, even though I think he was a tremendous artist and had some tremendous covers. But not enough, I don't think, that warrant, you know, just showing you two similar, you know, oh, here's another Captain Marvel cover that looks just like the last one. So, and I didn't do, you know, that guy who did that stuff, The Spirit. I didn't do, I can't believe it, Eisner, because that's pretty much all he did, right? So I'm going to show you a bunch of Spirit covers. I mean, they're good, but it's like, I wanted someone who did variety, right? And I didn't even do Frazetta because Frazetta, he has like 10 Buck Rogers covers. 6 or 7 of them are really, really good. And then he did like, you know, some of his other covers were, you know, he was younger. He wasn't quite hitting his stride yet. And so there wasn't enough Frazetta variety either. in comic books. So I didn't do a Frazetta thing. And so I thought, well, who's left? We did Jack Davis. Graham Ingles is the same way. Graham Ingles is, I don't really look at him as a cover artist. I like Graham Ingles, but I don't really look at him as a guy that you'd say, oh, that guy did some, he did a few nice covers, but he's more of an interior guy. And so I finally said, let's move on to the Silver Age, even though Jack did do some Golden Age stuff, which we will look at. So he goes from Golden Age, early 50s, Silver Age, where of course he, did everything, and then even into the 70s. So he travels through 3 decades. But so he's sort of, I could still argue that, oh yeah, he was Golden Age, so I can show it here. But I think this is our official move into the Silver Age. So there you go. Jack Cole, again, Cole was mostly, he didn't always do Plastic Man, but it was a majority of what he did. And again, I don't know. I don't know if there was like enough great Jack Cole covers. Yeah, if I think of somebody that I was like, ooh, I skipped over that guy, I probably shouldn't have, then I'll go back. But anyway, let's take a look at Jack, and let's. I think I'm going to save his. Well, no, I will. Let's start in the Golden Age and work our way up. Everybody knows this, but it still has to be on the list because it's, so important. There's very few covers that have been ripped off more than this one. I'm sorry, homaged more than this one. And if I had one Golden Age comic book to own, not to sell, I mean, if I could have one Golden Age comic book to sell, it would be Action Comics #1. The minute I got it, I'd sell it. But this one I would keep if I had it. You've got it's the first appearance of Captain America, obviously. You've got the Hitler cover. So it has historical significance. It has his young ally, Bucky. And it's iconic for just a lot of reasons. So there you go. So that's our starting. This is young Jack, but still, this is pretty solid figure work in here. Really is. Jack could draw. I kind of like this shield, but it's not, I don't know that you couldn't really throw this. I wonder if you threw this at somebody like he throws his round, if it would like slice their head off, if it hit him like on the point, I suppose the round shield could do that as well. So look at this, 45 thrilling pages of Captain America, Sentinel of Our Shores, plus other great features. So you're getting like a 64-page book for 10 cents. Man alive, wouldn't that be something? What's interesting about that cover, though, is again, it's an action cover. You got your 2 central figures. It's not as powerful because we're kind of watching the action instead of being drug into it. Was what Kirby was masterful at. Now this is a better example of being drug into the action. Now this is a little known thing that I've actually been doing a little research on recently. The Fighting American. Now, this was 1954, first issue of Fighting American. So obviously Jack was pissed that he lost Captain America to Marvel, that they owned it. So he came out with his own, or I shouldn't say his own because Captain America is his own, but a new version of the Captain America theme, and that's the Fighting American. Now, I kind of like this. There's only 6 issues, I think, maybe 8. I think 6. There was only 6 issues of this. And this was, like I said, 1954 through Prize Group Comics. Like, who is that? They didn't last very long. I think they did a lot of horror stuff too. But let me tell you something about this comic. Well, first of all, the cover is really great because it's action. It's coming, the car's coming right at you in Kirby fashion. This is where you start to see Kirby, the Kirby that we know and love, developing right here, where he's pulling you right into the center of the action. This book, and I don't want to throw around the word rare because I don't think it's officially listed as rare, but I can tell you this, it's not easy to find. Now, if you're into collecting for money, which of course I am. I know a lot of you guys aren't, but just for the sake of the story, there is only one graded 9.0 copy of this book. And there's only 2 8.0 graded copies of this book. In fact, there's very few graded copies in any condition. But this 8.0 is like, I mean, there's only 2 of these, at least that are graded. And this is, the guy's asking $2,700 for this on eBay. But he has to buy it, our best offer. So you could probably, might be able to get him down to $2,500, $2,400. That's still, that's a chunk of change for this book. And I'd love to have it, but not at that price. So if I ever got one of these books, it would be like in a 6 or a lower grade, mid-grade book that might be more affordable. But it's a scarce book and it's pretty expensive. But it's also cool. I like The Fighting American. So there you go. Here's another great Golden Age Kirby cover from the 50s. The Guys in the Foxhole. I love this cover. Billy Tucci loves this cover. Graham Nolan loves this cover. Dear Mom, the war is like a picnic. Today we spent a day at the beach. What a day at the beach it was. Isn't that a powerful cover? And here you go with my favorite thing. Big centralized image that we're focusing on and little details in the background. But this is haunting. I remember seeing this as a kid. It almost freaked me out. It was like, because the guy, it's almost like he's like a ghostly character with his one eye showing, he's all bandaged up. This is a book I wouldn't mind having. I'm sure it's probably pretty expensive too. I don't know the price on this. And I don't think I've ever seen one in the wild. I've seen them, reproduced in books and stuff, but I've never actually seen a copy of this. There's Dr. Mask's Retro Elixir joining us. Thank you for that. There was a guy that used to trade me for artwork and he had good comics and I did a ton of that. Excuse me. So I did okay in that regard. Okay. So probably Jack's most known book that he worked on was Fantastic Four. Now I'm going to show you a couple of my favorite covers. They may not be yours, but they're my favorite covers. This one, This Man, This Monster, the classic Ben Grimm story. Now, I haven't read this. My son read it. And so he said, it's a great cover. And there's a great splash page similar to this, where the Thing is standing there with the rain pouring down on him. Great visual image. And but he says the story's not that great. It's a classic story. And yet he said it's not that great. So I said, okay. But anyway, it is a classic cover. And I did buy this. I do own this in a 9.2. I got a good deal on it. And it's an expensive book. But it's a classic book. And it's kind of like, it's the kind of stuff you want in your collection. It's like classic. This, again, you have this singular image of the Thing, standing front and center. This man, this great title. It's like you're buying this book. If you're a kid and you see it on the stand, you're buying this book. Now, I wasn't a kid when this came out. I was like a baby in swaddling clothes probably when this is probably 1966, right? 65, 66. So I would have been 2. So a little beyond my capabilities to buy this, but gosh darn it, I would have bought it. Here's another one that I almost bought and then I haven't yet because I keep thinking it's going to drop in price. So I keep waiting on this. But Fantasy 472, now there's nothing special about it other than it's got a great Silver Surfer cover. Now it's not the first appearance of the Surfer. That's 48, 49, and 50 is that first appearance of Silver Surfer and Galactus. And it's this like 3-part story arc. It has good covers too, but like I said, we can't show them all. So I'm showing you my favorites. And this is one of my favorites right here. This book goes for like $700 or $800 in a 9.2, which I think is too much. I'd like to see this down around 5 or 6. And I keep thinking it's going to drop, and maybe it won't. And the joke's on me, but we'll see. We shall see. Okay, I'll show you one more FF cover. Now this is from a classic story arc. And let's see what he did here again. Giant Doctor Doom head circled by the Fantastic Four and the Silver Surfer and Wyatt Wingfoot. This is a great cover. I mean, again, it's just one of those, it's just powerful and it makes you want to buy the book. And this, of course, is where Doctor Doom steals the Surfer's powers. So it's got a great storyline in here and it goes over 3 or 4 issues. But this, I think, is the best of the bunch of the covers. But Kirby knew how to put something together that made you want to buy it. And that is that should be the sole purpose for cover art, is make you want to buy the comic. Okay, not make you want to appreciate, oh, how wonderfully it's drawn, which that's fine, but you want to sell the book. You want to sell what's going on inside. You don't just want to sell the cover art. And I mean, ideally you do both, right? You do a really nice drawing, but you do it in a dynamic and interesting and in your face kind of way that makes people want to buy it and read it. This is a classic. I honestly don't think it's one of Kirby's best covers, but it is a classic cover, so we're going to show it anyway. This I own. It cost me a lot of money, but I do have Avengers #4. I'm a Captain America fan, and getting his first appearance in the Silver Age, pretty significant book, and a cover that's been riffed a million times by a million different people. I don't like the squatty nature of Cap's pose, but that, again, that's a subjective thing. But there's no denying that it's dynamic. And that image coupled with the Captain America Lives Again, whew, I mean, that's like, whoa, I got to check this out. And I don't know if, putting the Submariner up there is helping you a lot in your sales at this point, but we do know that having Cap front and center and then the Captain America Lives Again, that's pretty cool. And again, charging at the reader, like you're going to get run over. This is, this is classic, again, example of drawing the reader into the action and the story that's happening on the cover. And you're a part of the action. So another excellent cover. Now, a lot of you probably know this one and maybe you haven't seen it before, or you've seen it and hadn't really thought about it, but now I own this. It's ungraded, but it's probably a 9.4. I have a really sweet copy of this. And I just think this was like out of the blue because Kirby didn't do a lot of Daredevil. He did a couple of covers, but I'm trying to remember any interior issues he actually did. He might have done the interior of this because he did the cover as a fill-in or something because Cap was in it. But I always dug this cover. And again, I'm a Captain America fan and collector. So if I will buy comics that have Captain America crossovers in them that are, especially if they're interesting looking, like this definitely is. Henry Jeremick says Captain America 100 is a good book as well. It is, and I do have that. But I thought it's too similar to Avengers #4. So it's like showing both of them is kind of like, to me, was kind of repetitive. So I went with Avengers 4 instead. Yes, you're right. Randy Hall says Daredevil did cross over. It was Daredevil 38 and 39 where he fought Doctor Doom, and then it crossed over into FF for 2 issues to finish off that Doctor Doom storyline. Paul Taylor says Steve Englehart's run on Cap was the one I read. Really great. Yeah, you know what? I was sitting next to Steve Englehart at a costume. We were judges at a cosplay costume contest at the Motor City Con. And I had I brought my copy of Captain America. First appearance of Nightshade. Is it 163, 168, 165, somewhere in that neighborhood? 161 maybe, where the Falcon becomes a werewolf. It's like my favorite Captain America issue. And so I brought it to Englehart and we're sitting there and I said, hey, sign this book for me, will you? And I said, but don't sign the cover. I said, because, I don't want you defacing the cover of my comic. So I had him sign on the inside. And he just wrote this. He just kept writing. I go, dude, what are you writing a book? I just asked you to sign it. And so I can't, I should pull it out, but I got to go find it. But I can't remember. He wrote something really long winded in there, just being a smart aleck, and then signed it. So I have that issue of Captain America with his big Steve Englehart signature in the commentary. But that has nothing to do with this Daredevil issue, except this is, again, a really strong cover. We're in the ring with Cap. I mean, we're right in the ring. We're about to get hit by Captain America's shield or his fist that he's swinging out here. So again, great, typical Kirby action. Now, how about this one? I'm proud to say I own this copy as well. I have a 9.2 of this. Again, you're right in the middle of Thor and Hercules just grappling. That's the right word, grappling. Two powerful figures right in the center of the cover, just makes this a great cover, in my opinion. Now, the Vinnie Coletta inks, yeah, what are you going to do? But I'll say this. I didn't mind Coletta over Kirby. And that's the highest praise I can heap on Vinnie Coletta's work, is I didn't mind him on Kirby on Thor for some reason. But it's still just a really powerful cover. And that's the great thing about Kirby. He just was able. It was never about the drawing with Kirby. It was about the power and the impact and the dynamic of it that always made his stuff interesting. Yes, I have that. That's a good cover. Also, his so 151, where Hela is really big on the cover. I really like that. I almost put that one in here, but I didn't. Instead, I picked out maybe my all-time favorite Thor cover. Yeah, first appearance of the Wrecker, baby. Look at that. It's awesome. Although why he has a purple hood and belt on, I do not know. But I love the Wrecker. And that just goes to show you why I never made it to the big times, because I loved all the level B characters. You know, if someone had said, hey, Aaron, you want to draw a Wrecker miniseries at Marvel, I would have jumped on it. As ridiculous as that sounds, I would have done it. So the Wrecker, Loki gives him a magic crowbar, and come on, that's so silly, but it's so awesome. Anyway, I love this cover. It's powerful. It's dynamic. Baby, this is good stuff right here. Now, I have way more than 10 Kirby covers, as you can tell. This is one of my favorite Journey into Mystery covers. I don't own this. I keep looking for it. It's got to be at the right grade at the right price, which is always hard to find. But if you're patient, eventually you'll come across it. I just think this is a great cover. You got this powerful image of Thor like pushing this wall apart or whatever. And then you got the headshots, Absorbing Man, Loki. I don't know who this dude is. And then Odin. I just love this cover. I think it's powerful. It's interesting. It makes me want to buy the book. And I would, if I, again, as a kid on the stands, I would buy this book. Just big, powerful imagery. That's what the secret is. The secret to Jack. All right, let's take a couple look at it. In the 70s, not a big fan of Kirby, especially when he came back to the Marvel in the 70s. But that stuff he did at DC at the time was really, really underappreciated. But I think it's getting its due now. But Mr. Miracle #1. This is a fantastic cover. I love the drawing, the perspective. Again, you're getting this rocket kind of launched right up at you, past you. I think the costume is cool. I've always liked Mr. Miracle, even though he looks like a Christmas tree, I guess. But I always liked that sort of New Gods sort of look to his stuff. And yes, I do own this in very high grade, if you're wondering. Now, these books, for the longest time, were worthless. And you could get them for a song, as they would say back in the day. But now they're not worthless. Now they're, this is like in a 9.2, this is like a $500 book now. $400, $500 book. So I got it back when I, got it for a couple bucks. But I love this cover. And another one of his covers that I love, but a book I never read because, well, you guys know I'm a Christian and it just feels wrong to buy a book called The Demon. But what a cool cover. Giant central image again, coming at you. I mean, you are the townspeople here going, we're history. And this big image of this character coming at you. This book is really expensive now. Out of all the new stuff he did, I think this is the first issue of this is the most expensive. Of course, what are there was the New Gods, and there was the who are the other New Gods characters? You guys help me out. The Forever People. Forever People #1 has the 4th appearance of Darkseid, third or 4th appearance of Darkseid, but the first full appearance of Darkseid, I believe, is in that. So it does have some value. But this is the one. The Demon is the one that of those 70s books that he did for DC. That's really, this first issue is really. Now the Geek Easy actually, see, I never read him. I was afraid to as a kid, even though I thought it was cool from afar. I never read the book, never collected it. But I always did think he looked cool. I will say, though, I did a double-page ad, Swamp Thing ad, which is really unusual, I think, that DC would hire me or hire anybody to do instead of just using existing art. But so I created this sort of collage Swamp Thing piece of artwork that Danny Mickey inked. And he's fighting the demon is the central figure or, thing in this ad. And then it had like images from different storylines or whatever to get you to buy the Swamp Thing comic. So I did draw the demon once, and I hopefully I'm not going to hell for doing that. No, I don't think I am. I'm just being smart. But again, a really good design of the character. So anyway, that's what I've got for you for Kirby. Again, we could do this all day. We could just, there's so many great Kirby covers, and I encourage you guys all to just sort of type in Kirby covers on Google and see what you can see, because there's some really great stuff and a lot of times stuff you forgot about. So, okay, where are we at here? All right, let's take a look at one of the great animators of all time, and my favorite, Chuck Jones. Yes, it is true. I'm a big Chuck Jones fan, and let me go right off the top and say, if you haven't read Chuck Amuck, which is like the biography of Chuck Jones, I think it's an autobiography. I have to go back and look, but great book. It has Bugs Bunny on the cover. It's a yellow cover. Bugs Bunny's on the cover of a drawing board, and there's pages like flying off of his drawing board. Let's take a look at the unfinished and then the finished work, if you will, of Chuck Jones. And so let's take a look at some character sheets, because this is where you get to see the good stuff, in my opinion. Most of us like to see the process work. Look at that. For the Grinch. So Chuck directed this in 1965, but I'm kind of, in terms of the history of Chuck, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. But so Chuck was born in 1912, died in 2002, I guess it was. So he was 89 years old. Now, he started his career in 1933 alongside Tex Avery, Friz Freleng, Bob Clampett, and Robert McKimson at the Leon Schlesinger production Termite Terrace Studio, the studio that made Warner Brothers cartoons, where they created and developed the Looney Tunes characters. Now, during the Second World War, Jones directed many of the Private Snafu short cartoons. If you've ever seen any of those, if you haven't, look them up on Google. Private Snafu, which he worked with a guy by the name of, what was his name? Oh, yeah, Dr. Seuss, Theodore Geisel. Now, after his career at Warner Brothers ended in 1962, some people don't know this, but he actually started a company called Sib Tower 12 Productions and began producing cartoons for MGM, including a new series of Tom and Jerry cartoons. If you have not seen the Chuck Jones Tom and Jerry cartoons, you're missing out, because they're the best Tom and Jerry cartoons. All right, let's take a look at this. This is kind of fun. This is a character sheet where he draws a real rabbit, then he draws Bugs Bunny, draws a real duck, then he draws Daffy Duck, he draws a real pig, then Porky, of course, a cat, and Sylvester. And I think the only time he drew Sylvester was there was a cartoon called Scaredy Cat, where Porky Pig and Sylvester's his cat, and I think there was two of them. And they went to this haunted house and spent the night in the haunted house. And there was these mice trying to kill him, and Sylvester was trying to protect him the whole time. Jerry Rasco says, Chuck Jones, Tom and Jerry is unmatched. 100% agree. Anyway, back to our story. So then, of course, after that, he did the Tom and Jerry shorts from 63 to 67. And then he also did a television adaptation, of course, of Dr. Seuss, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, as we just looked at. Horton Hears a Who in 1970. So the Grinch was 66, Horton Hears a Who was 70. Now, he also did, if you guys aren't aware of, he produced and directed the film adaptation of Norton Juster's The Phantom Toll Booth in 1970, which we saw when we were in school. Like, you know, when they'd rent the movies, they'd put the projector on in your classroom. I mean, you got to be old to know that, we saw that in school, and that was pretty cool. He was also had his work in other animators showcased in Bugs Bunny Superstar in 1975. And then, of course, the Looney Tunes compilation film, the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner movie in 1979. And in 1990, he wrote his memoir, Chuck Amok, The Life and Times of an Animated Cartoonist, which was made into a documentary film. Really? I haven't seen that. I'm going to have to go see that. And Chuck Amok was the name of the film in 1991. He won 3 Academy Awards for Sentimental Reasons. Of course, that's Pepe Le Pew. So Much for So Little, and Dot and the Line, the best animated short. Robin Williams presented Jones with an honorary Academy Award in 1996 for his work in the animation industry. In Jerry Beck's The 50 Greatest Cartoons, a group of animation professionals ranked What's Opera Doc, 1957, as the greatest cartoon of all time. It's right up there. And it says, with 10 of the entries of the top 50 being directed by Jones, including Duck Amuck, Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century, One Froggy Evening, which is, oh my gosh, is a classic, Rabbit of Seville, and Rabbit Seasoning. All of them fantastic. Okay, so let's move our picture show along here a little bit. Funny thing is, Chuck, back in the day, he started out working as a cell washer. And for those of you who don't know what that means, they were so cheap back in the day, they would draw and paint the animation cells, which would then be filmed, to make the movie cell by cell. And then they'd wash off these plastic cells so they could use them again. So a lot of the original cells from a lot of these old cartoons just don't exist anymore because they washed them off. Now, Chuck created the Roadrunner and the Coyote. I think he also created Pepe Le Pew. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure he did. But those are the 3 characters off the top of my head that have sort of, well, Gossamer too, the orange monster who used to be called Rudolph and then became Gossamer. Look at the expressiveness on these. It just, and you know what? I always felt like he had 3-dimensional quality. His animation never felt flat to me. Or like Freeling to me was kind of flat. But it was Chuck Jones and that other guy that I really liked, Bob McKimson. I thought because their animation had some weight to it that I don't think the other ones did. And check this out. So yeah, whenever I do a Looney Tunes drawing, I will go on the web and search up character sheets like this. So I get a real good feeling of how Chuck would do whatever particular character I'm looking at. In this case, it's Daffy Duck. But he has drawings of Elmer on there and right here and Bugs Bunny here and that sheepdog, which cracks me up. The cartoons with the sheepdog and Wile E. Coyote, except in that one, it's like morning, Sam, morning, whatever. He did. That was one of the later ones. It wasn't as funny though. Mike Maltese, when the ones written by Mike Maltese are the funniest, and Mike Maltese wrote most of the cartoons back then, but his best ones, funniest ones were written by Mike Maltese. Now, Chuck may have conceptualized the idea and said, hey, we're doing Sherlock Holmes. What have you got for me? Come up with but Mike Maltese is hilarious. Sam the Sheepdog and Ralph the Wolf. Thank you, Sequential Treasures. So he wasn't Wile E. Coyote. He was, but he was Ralph. And they would punch in their clocks, and then they were buddies. They would punch in the clocks, time clocks, and then the sheepdog would go protect the sheep, and the wolf would try and kill the sheep, and that was their job all day. And then at the end of the day, of course, Wile E. Coyote got the crap beat out of him, and they would punch out, and they'd be buddies again, waiting for the next day. And again, I only use Chuck's character sheets when drawing Porky Pig. I just think his stuff is more expressive. It's more fun. He had the little touches. The animators did the little touches. Abe Levito and the other guys who I can't think of at the moment, but no disrespect to them. I will think of their names in a minute. But under his direction, like, look at this. Now, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. See that little fold right there in the back of Porky Pig's neck, that little fat fold? Those are the kind of things that give the character weight and a 3-dimensionality. There it is again, right there. Rather than have it just, that circle come all the way down like that. I mean, it's not much, but it's a little detail that makes a big difference. The little cheek the cheek right here, this fat fold on the back of his neck here and here, this little bump right here. That's what I was talking about. I was marking up the wrong thing. And just so incredibly expressive. And he did something with his eyes that really made the characters cute or endearing. Now, what some people may not know is that Chuck had a newspaper strip called Crawford. Now, I don't know exactly when this came out or how extensively it was out, but my guess is it was in the 40s or 50s, maybe the 60s. Does it have a date on there? 430. I don't know what that means. Oh, wait a minute. There's a copyright on there. I can't. Oh, does that say 77 or 67 or I can't tell. But I didn't know about this. I wish I had, because I don't remember seeing this in the paper. Stephen Ing dropping a little knowledge on it. Says Mike Maltese could draw too. I saw some of his work at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. How about that? I did not know that, but I do know he's a heck of a writer. There it is. Fat fold gives the character weight. All right, here we go. Paul Taylor's enlightening me. It says Chuck Jones of Warner Brothers Animation and Looney Tunes fame had a newspaper comic strip called Crawford that lasted less than a year in 1978. There it is. Okay, well, I almost read that. That's pretty remarkable. I was able to get 70s out of that. So I thought it said 79 or 77. But I loved it. I loved it. I mean, it just, here's another one in black and white just for you, Paul. I just cute kids. Look at the eyes. The eyes are, but it's like the use of the eyelids and everything to make it more expressive. It's not just dots for eyes. I mean, they are, but they're expressive at the same time. That's a funny little gag. Ever wonder why people get married in the first place? Because kids like having parents, I guess. Well, lots of people say you don't know what happiness is until you get married. Yeah, but then it's too late. Wah, wah, wah. Okay, so then there was a period of time where Chuck went into what we would call fine arts, if you will. All right. And you could buy these. Now, I know a lot of people are familiar with his animation cell stuff, but this is actually like they would make G clays or prints out of these, where he would paint these Warner Brother characters in sort of a fine artsy kind of way. I mean, if you look at the expressionistic way he painted the grass, look at Porky Pig as the fat friar. Look at that face. I mean, just so expressive, so fun. Great cartoon here too. Robin Hood Daffy. Oh. Yoicks and away. But yeah, so he did this kind of fine arts thing. Like, look at how he's laying that color down. He's clearly trying. And Chuck Jones had a lot of European influence, like Salvador Dali and people like that. And you saw it later in his cartoons in the 50s, which were probably his best stuff on his character designs and stuff like that. And so he obviously, was influenced by European artists, French artists, things like that. And so this isn't like attempting to be a polished, finished painting. It's more rough and expressionistic and, fine artsy. Look at this simple watercolor, but how wonderful it is. And this, of course, is the dog who thought the little kitty he was taking care of got turned into a Christmas cookie. That's such a great cartoon. And he has those big eyes and he's just bawling because he thinks the cat got turned into a cookie and got cooked. I would have loved to get one of these. If you guys remember, excuse me, they had these Chuck Jones galleries all over the place. And they even had one in the Gas Lamp District in San Diego. So if you went to San Diego Comic-Con, you could, just a couple blocks in from the convention center, they had a Chuck Jones studio there. And you'd go in there and they'd have all these animation cells and these type of, I don't know they had a lot of originals in there, but they did have some, but a lot of, high-end prints and things like that. But I would love to have gotten an original, but they were just too expensive. let's go. Speaking of Duck Amuck, here's a fine arts painting of the ending of that cartoon. And again, see how spotty, and he's drawing in or bringing in colors from different parts of the painting. Again, trying to create a looser fine arts kind of feel as opposed to a strictly polished illustration look. And so this is like Chuck Jones's way of expressing that sort of inner artist with the stuff, the characters that he knew everybody was familiar with and would want, right? So it's a great combination of fine arts expression with commercial art sensibilities. And lastly, at least from the fine arts department, I love this piece too. Now, I don't know if they still have a Chuck Jones gallery or not, because I know they disappeared when he passed away. But I'm sure this stuff is still available. I don't know where, though. But probably that's why they have the internet, right? To find this stuff. But again, it's loose, it's energetic. Look at the expressiveness of the little girl, even in his dog Max. I love this piece. In fact, if I could find it, in like a signed print or something, I'd buy it. And maybe I will. I'll go looking for it. Now, the other thing he did was he created these original animation cells, right? And so they would come with a little like a little gold. Yeah, there it is, right there, like a little gold sticker on them that authenticated them. And I think they had authentic signatures, original signatures on them, but the rest of the stuff was basically printed on a cell. So you get like an animation cell, but it was like a collector's edition animation cell. And it was either new material or based on a new drawing based on, a familiar cartoon. Like this one. This is from What's Opera Doc, but it's not a cell from What Opera Doc. He created this particular cell for this series. And you'd get, like I said, you'd get your seal of authenticity right here. There's your signature. So he did sign them. And then there was like signed and numbered, right? So 90 out of 500. And these were these transparencies, but they were like animation cells, limited edition animation cells. And like an idiot, I never bought one. Well, they weren't cheap though either. They're probably like, $500 or more. So they weren't cheap. So that's probably why I don't own one. But look at this. This is one of my faves too. So that's Gossamer, who used to be called Rudolph. And I feel like I have to go back. You guys that are experts on this. That's Peter Lorre as the scientist. But there was a cartoon where Daffy Duck was in the house with Peter Lorre, the scientist. And I'm trying to remember if there was a Bugs Bunny with Peter Lorre as the mad scientist. Because I remember the bald mad scientist who kind of looked like Vincent, or sounded kind of like Vincent Price, that, water every hair, that had Gossamer in it. But I don't remember Peter Lorre being in the cartoon with Bugs Bunny. I may be wrong because it's been a while. Sequential Treasures is saying, yes, there was a Bugs cartoon with mad scientist Peter Lorre. All right, I'm going to look it up because I don't remember. But some of this is vaguely familiar to me. But I'm having trouble separating the two. So I remember Peter Lorre going, I need a duck's wishbone very badly. I remember that one. And then, of course, Water, Water Everywhere, the classic with the, we used to say that he had Vincent Price's voice, but he looked like a bald Ben Casey because he had that unibrow. This
Nighty night. So nearly perfect. If you only had a living brain.
Yes, if you only had a living brain. So anyway, there you go. That's a look at Chuck Jones and sort of what he did and how he did it over the course of his career. I have talked to some animators who were like, "Oh, he wasn't a great guy. He stole credit from other people. Friz Freeling, he was a great guy." Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whatever. But like I said, sometimes it's good not to meet your heroes. But I did actually go see when I was at USC. He was speaking at UCLA with Ray Bradbury. So Chuck Jones and Ray Bradbury. And Ray Bradbury was basically interviewing Chuck Jones. And they would talk a little bit, and then they'd show one of his cartoons. And they'd talk some more, then they'd show another one of his cartoons. So they were up on stage, and there was a screen pulled down, right? And so they were on either side of the screen, and they'd be talking back and forth. And then they go, well, let's take a look at this. And then they'd show a Chuck Jones cartoon. And then they'd come back and talk. It was great. And so I got to see that live, which was really, really cool. And that would have been 85 or 86. And 85, I think. Yeah, probably. So that was a cool opportunity to I didn't get to meet him because he didn't come down, off stage, and I didn't want her up there and be, annoying. But I did get to see him in person. That was kind of cool. Randy Hall's saying hair-raising hair. That's right. That's right. That was the one with Peter Lorre, hair-raising hair, and Birth of a Notion. That's the Daffy Duck one. And then also the movie Looney Tunes Back in Action. Okay. Which I probably didn't see. Daniel Russell says, I won a Chuck Jones Bugs Bunny Cell of Animation. That's pretty cool. That is very cool. I'm going to have to go look those. I bet the prices are just astronomical on those things now, but I'm going to have to go check because I wouldn't mind having one. All right. Well, we've gone through the meat of our schedule for today's show, but as I promised to be done at 5:30 so Ethan wouldn't stream over the top of me. So let's get to the thing that we've all been waiting for. Yes, it's once again time for our cynical journey to the great unknown, not finding Bigfoot. Of course, the show where I bring you only the best videos known to man available today for cryptids around the world that I don't think really exist. Ollie B. the Tupelo-tunist for 10. Thank you, sir. What's your opinion of Rudyard Kipling CBS specials by Jones? What is your opinion of the Rudyard Kipling CBS specials by Jones? Let me think. I know of what you speak. I need some titles, though. Do you remember the titles? Anything Chuck Jones, I think, is worth watching. Some of his, he went back to Warner Brothers after his days at doing MGM and, independent stuff. He went back and made some Bugs Bunny stuff that was really crappy, I thought. I didn't think it was funny. He was reusing old jokes and stuff, and it just didn't really work for me. But when he did, like, if you guys have seen the animated Christmas Carol, I've talked about this before, that he produced. He didn't direct it, but he did produce it. It's really cool. Gosh darn it, this Rudyard Kipling. What Kipling stuff did he do? Here we go. Ricky Tikki Tavi, I've seen that. The White Seal, yes. Mowgli's Brothers, I haven't seen. I have to say that the first two, I don't remember a lot about them except I love the animation. So that's what I would say. I was just looking actually at a cell from the White Seal. I can't remember the storylines, but I thought the animation and the direction, everything was really, really good. Yeah, I'd have to go back. Like I said, I saw them when I was a kid. I remember them, but I can't remember specifics to comment on them. But other than the fact, when I go back and look at, stills and stuff from them or animation cells, the character design and everything like that, I really, really liked. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Now, okay, actually, let's take a look at this. Did I show this last? I did. Okay, I showed you guys the Ray Wallace footage last time, didn't I? 2 weeks ago. I'm going to do it again just for the sake of doing it. That makes any sense? All right, you guys see that, right? I want to make sure that you guys are seeing the screen because I think I didn't have any trouble sharing my screen. It was like Dan Lawless for some reason on Graybers. They tried to share his screen and what didn't show. All right, so this was before the Patterson Gimlin film, right? This is what started it all. This is the Ray Wallace film. And as you can see, it's crap. And even his family came out and said that it was fake. But there's nothing like starting a legend based on something you know is fake. And yet you just say, I don't want to accept that it's fake. I just want to create this legend. When your family calls you, when your family is calling you out and telling you that they faked this, probably should believe it, especially when it's this bad. But anyway, so that's just a reminder of where we're at. We're looking at videos of things that were created in fake videos to begin with, and then trying to pretend that they're real. It's harsh, I know, but take it from me. I'm a professional cryptozoologist, and I know these things. So let's take a look at this. This is not a Bigfoot, but it does make my point. This guy thinks he spotted a Bigfoot, right? So he zooms in with his camera. Now watch what happens. Look at this zoom. This is incredible. Okay. He thinks right here is his Bigfoot, right there. I've got him. I've got Bigfoot. Keep zooming in. Keep zooming in. Oh, wait. It's a moose. Okay, but here's my point. Look at how steady the camera is. I mean, relatively speaking. And look at how clean that shot is. And this guy is miles away. All right. Now, if that had been an actual Bigfoot and not a moose, this part would be fuzzy and it would be jumping all over the place. But for some reason, when you shoot livestock of something that you know is real, it's a perfect picture. It's amazing. Look how far back he was. And he said, oh my gosh, I see a Bigfoot over there. Zoomed in and it was a moose, which is still pretty cool. But my point being, before we get into the rest of this stuff, is that it's amazing to me how whenever you get a Bigfoot video, we don't have a clear picture. Now, here's something. It's not Bigfoot, but did you know there's dinosaurs in the Congo? That's what I keep hearing. Here's some actual video footage, allegedly from the Congo, to prove it. You guys tell me. I like how it skips. So could they have edited this a little better? And there it is, folks. So what do you think? Guy's out in the middle of the night in the Congo, and it's like, and of course, his camera runs out of energy, or runs out of battery. So he's out in the Congo, and only God knows what's out there at night in the Congo that would kill you. So I don't know why this guy's hanging out in the brush in the Congo, but he did see this, or did he? I love, this is what kills this video, is the tail hitting the bush. This makes it look faker than it did already. Right there. It's like, so anyway, there you go. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe that's real. And you know, and then your battery runs out. So that's okay because he wandered off into the darkness. Randy Hell may be onto something. He says that's the savage land in Antarctica. It could be. Seems legit, says Bobster. Sure. Why not? It's a trail camera tied to a tree. Okay, so no one risked their lives in getting that. That's good. I'm glad to know that. Okay, so what do you guys think about this? Is this one of those rake things? Those are the skinny white things, right? Is the rake? Let's see. I don't even remember. I got this like 2 weeks ago. Now I can't remember because we did Jack the Ripper last week and I forgot. So, okay, so they set up the picture of this and then they show this at night. Is that even the same place? They said it was the same place, but it didn't look like the same place to me. Yeah. Yeah, you know, not thinking this is all that great. Now let me just throw something out at you guys. Now, yeah, it could be a rake, or might it be look at this is a flower pot on somebody's ledge, and this is an action figure hiding behind the flower pot, isn't it? Am I mistaken here? Am I seeing what I want to see instead of seeing the truth that this is a rake in the wild? Am I just imagining that I'm seeing a flower pot right here with flowers in it and this little action figure standing right there? Paul Taylor, who is a biologist and should know better, says, Aaron, you're ruining my immersion. Yeah, I am asking for some good quality filmmaking here, and it is lacking every week. All right, so here we got another photo that they're saying, is this a Bigfoot? Sorry, my phone's dinging. No, you know what I say? I say this is a bear. Is that a bear? Am I mistaken? Isn't that just a bear? A headless bear, which makes it even creepier than a Bigfoot, but still. Brian says, oh, that's a jazz dance instructor. I've seen plenty of dance instructors, never seen one that hairy. Guy in a suit, sure. Paul Taylor saying that's a pretty wide stance for a bear. Okay. All right, there you go. Looks like a chimpanzee. That could be, right? If it's real at all. Yeah, I'm not seeing Bigfoot there. I can tell you that. Even if it's real, I'm not saying it. Well, there you go. Jerry's saying that looks superimposed, which is why the edges are so smooth. He may be onto something, Jerry. He may be onto something. Apex Comics, Kelsey. Well, I can neither confirm nor deny that. Ollie by golly says, if any of these cryptids exist, I'd be more likely to believe demonic trickery than undiscovered fauna. I don't disagree with you there either. I was saying if it was a chimp, we would see more butt. So under the grandstands was see more butts is what you're saying. Okay. Well, you guys can sleep on that one. Now, sorry. Is this a dog man or is this just a dog? Oh my gosh. Okay. What do you think of this? What is going on? Is that even is that a dog with a mask on? What in the world are we looking at here? Is that a Shetland pony? What the heck? I'm trying to look at the feet to try and get an idea of. Is it got paws? Is those hoofs? I mean, I got to say, I think the movement looks real. Looks like a dog would move. But the question is, did they dress up their dog for Halloween? Why is his face like that? Romy saying Chupacabra. No, remember we marked the Chupacabra off the list when I did, when I debunked, I had an episode where we debunked 4 cryptids, 4 famous cryptids, where we found actual evidence that they were not real. And I know it's how do you prove something doesn't exist, but we went back and traced the origins and it was pretty fishy. So I don't know what to think of this though. Apex Comics, Jackalope, maybe. What was I say? It's a dog, but what's wrong with his face? Paul Taylor, costume on a dog. That's what I'm thinking. That could be it. It could be just the light reflecting off the white on him, but you'd think he'd have a black nose. So there's something, I mean, it looks, the movement looks real, but this head looks fake. So like they have a mask or something on their poor little dog who's like, what are you doing to me? Brian Suddenly Old says, it's an older dog. Gray hair reflects like that under HID lights. Okay, there you go. And Brian should know he's a cryptozoologist as well. And he's debunking that right here live on the show. All right. Now, what do you think of this? So allegedly, this dude found this in the woods. Is it, first of all, is it a real skull? And if it is, it's a real skull of what? A bulldog? Or is it a fake? The whole thing's fake. What are we looking at here? Is this a makeup effects job? Or is it an actual decayed head skull of some sort of animal that looks like it could be a Bigfoot or a dog man, but we know that it isn't? And what happened here? Let's go back and take a look again. Spambot, bear skull with the jaw half pulled out. Okay, I'll buy that. Leg kick saying, no, effects job. Okay, I would also buy that. Custodian Ken says, this is clearly, oops, that's Brian laughing. Custodian Ken says, it's a goat that identifies as a dog. You might be onto something there too. Curious Potato says, no, it's a dog that identifies as a goat. John Porton says, the Montauk Monster. I'm not familiar with the Montauk Monster. I'm familiar with the name, but not familiar with the legend of the monster. I'm going to go look that up, and perhaps we will be able to look into that a little. Oh, I see. The Montauk Monster is a mutated dog. Okay. Gray Wolf, dead bear. I think that's a possibility. Well, if it's real, if it's even real, I think that's a possibility. Ooh, Moromi says the monster from Big Trouble in Little China. That might actually be correct. Angelfish, probably not in the woods. Jerry's saying, no, it's not a bear skull. The top jaw isn't big enough. I say fake. The teeth are too white. Ooh, that's a good observation. They are pretty white, aren't they? That's a really good observation. Paul's a biologist again. He says it doesn't look like a mammal skull. He says, I see bear in there, but it's been modified. So somebody maybe took a real bear skull and jacked around with it to create a monster. I think so. I think we're onto something. You know, when we showed the melon heads several weeks ago, I've been getting more information on melon heads. Like there's like these kids with giant that had like the experimental brain stuff, and now they're cannibals out in the woods. Like the hills have eyes or something. I keep seeing videos pop up on melon heads. It's like, do I want to dive deeper into melon heads? I don't know. Now, finally, Victor Shade's got it. Bear, man, pig. Are you kidding me? Of course. Of course. We have our largest audience right now, as we always do near the end of the show. Please hit the like and subscribe if you have not done so already. I greatly appreciate that. All right. Now let's look at a real monster, shall we? Just to kind of cap things off. This is one of those weird, what do you call them? They were in Finding Nemo. The strange thing about this video is that they generally are not this close to the surface. So I don't know if it's dying or what's going on with it. It's kind of floating up, but anglerfish, thank you very much. Sean Allen, first one in. Paul Taylor said Nancy Pelosi could be, but probably not. I think Nancy's bigger than that. Yeah, the only reason this thing would be up at the surface like that is if it was dying, I would think. But these things are, I mean, that's, again, like, that's a real freaking monster. And you don't see these things on camera very often, you know, especially, like I said, up this high or near the surface. And look how sharp and clear focus that is, because they've got nothing to hide. Those things are so cool, though. I mean, in a creepy, weird kind of way. I mean, that's as scary as looking as anything you could create. In fact, when I did a couple issues of Aquaman, and one of the Aquaman stories I did, there was a giant anglerfish kind of thing. So I created this kind of anglerfish looking giant monster fish he had to fight with. Or actually, maybe it was a rockfish, which are also really ugly and scary. John Porton says dinner looks delicious. It's on its way to the woods for the yeah, that could have been the skull they found in the woods. Interesting. So there you go. That's our week's worth of cryptids. I keep thinking that at some point, at some time, we will come across the truth, because as Fox Mulder said, the truth is out there. And by golly, if it is, we'll find it. Thank you guys for joining me this evening. It was a good time, as it always is, as we look at the strange, the unusual, and comic books, which I guess could also be strange and unusual. So please hit the like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Please consider going and checking out Wraith of God 3. You'll find a link in the description of this video. And go to my website and find cool and entertaining things there that maybe you won't find anyplace else. And you'll find a link for that in the description of this video as well. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, folks. And look out for Graybeard's poll on Monday. And I think Comicsgate Kings is going to be pretty wild tomorrow night, from my understanding. And then, of course, Professionals on Tuesday. And again, like I said, Graybeard's on Wednesday. So until we meet again, folks, see ya. Good night. Enjoy. Peace out. All that good stuff. Thank you.